Hey, hey, Cavaliers, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Sports Report. I'm your host, Jonah Snider. Joining me today is head coach of the women's basketball team, Ben Conrad. Ben, how's it going, man?
Going well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. So, you're now two years removed from that national championship back in 2015. You had a lot of momentum going after that win. Your team goes unbeaten through the regular season last year and then falls to KCK in the regional championship. What did you learn from that lone loss last year?
Well, I think, first of all, that run we had last year was completely unexpected. I mean, you look at the people we lost off of the national championship team. We started over. I mean, we had a few pieces back, some really important pieces, but that run was not something I don't think anybody really expected for us to go 31-0 and be in that position. As far as what I learned, I think I was reminded of the cruelty of college basketball and the randomness of March Madness. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a one and done 40-minute game. You have one bad 40-minute stretch where you don't make shots, and you got to tip your cap. KCK was, and they proved it at the national tournament. They were the best team in the country. I mean, they ran through the national tournament. I think they beat everybody by 20 plus. I know their coach had kind of shared with me. He thought that game was kind of the national title game, the game between us and them down in Wichita. So it's just one of those things where it's good and bad. Our region is loaded. Mm-hmm. We've got three of the top 8 teams in the country in our same region. Only one gets to go. And so I don't know that I learned anything that night, but I was definitely reminded of how tough this thing can be, and just felt bad for the kids. It was a good group of kids, and just came up a couple minutes short.
Yeah, so going into the offseason, you lost a lot of that talent on last year's team. It was the winningest class in school history, in fact. But you did send 6 players onto 4-year schools. How do you prepare these student athletes for the next level?
Well, it's a big part of what we do. I think number one, we want to recruit players that are talented enough to go on and play at a high level, or at least the highest level they're able to play. As far as preparing them, I think we run our program very similar to a Division I program. The intensity, the time demands, the accountability, the discipline, it's all very similar to a Division I program. We want to make it so that when they go to their next school, it's not a shock, it's not an adjustment. Obviously, there's going to be adjustments as far as style of play and terminology and teaching points. Anytime you go from one program to the other, there's differences. But we want to make sure that the pace our kids play at and how hard they play is not an adjustment when they go to the next level. So I just think we make it, it's just an intense program. I think it's intense, and I think that's really good for our kids. But it is a big part of what we do, I think, is helping those kids move on. Not only helping them get there, but make sure they're successful when they get there. Yeah.
You have some great experience on your team this year, mixed with a bunch of new faces. What are the expectations for the team this season?
Well, I think I say this every year. Our expectations don't ever change. We really don't have expectations with regard to, how many games we're going to win, championships. We don't really talk a lot about that. Our expectation that stays the same year in, year out is, I want my kids to buy into this idea that we are going to embrace the idea of working, of grinding, of getting better every day. And hopefully we've put enough talent together to where if we do that, the wins and losses, kind of take care of themselves. Yeah. As far as this team, we've got some good players. There's no question. We've got what we need to be very successful. The room for error is smaller. There's no question. We don't have, when you're looking up and down the roster, 1 through 15, when you start talking about some injuries and just some things that have happened during the recruiting process, the roster looks a little different. But it's still a good roster. It's still a talented group of kids. We just don't have, 3-4 Erica Nelson type kids that are, that are going to go make stuff up and figure it out. We're going to have to execute. But I like that, and I really like this team. I mean, they've done a great job of buying in. We got great sophomores. We got freshmen that are willing to kind of follow. And so it's just a great mix. Been very, very enjoyable group. And so the fact that we have a smaller room for error, as far as being successful, it doesn't worry me at all. We can be very successful with this group for sure.
You've already begun the preseason. It's come and gone, actually. What are your early observations of this team? Did anything stand out to you in those games?
Yeah, like I kind of mentioned just a second ago, great kids. Really got a good mix. It's really unique when you can get a group of sophomores that gets it the way this group of sophomores does. They're really bought in, high character kids, good leaders. So you're combining that, and then on top of that, we brought in a group that of kids that they want to learn and they want to listen. And in the past, I've had all our kids are great kids. Okay, I love every one of them. But in the past, we've had kids come in as freshmen and they don't want to listen to the sophomores, or they think they've got a better idea of how to do something than some of our returners. Yeah. And so you get that clash. This group's been really cool in the fact that we got great leaders, but we got great young kids too that are humble enough to understand that they don't have all the answers and that they need to kind of buy in and jump on board with what they're being told. So I've also got a couple transfers that have played a year of college basketball, so that brings some maturity. I think that helps a lot when you can get a couple transfers, like what we've got that are in the program now that are kind of get it. They've seen how things work at the college level. So it's just a good mix. They're just an enjoyable group of kids. I like going to practice every day with this team. I generally like practice no matter what, but some groups are better than others as far as just being ready to go. This has been really a great group as far as coming in ready to go and ready to accomplish the things we need to accomplish.
Odd question here. Actually, you begin the game with a 4-game homestand. How important is it to start the season off strong?
I'll be honest with you. And I've told all our teams this. I'm not getting too carried away with winning or losing in November. My first team here, I think we started out like 1-5. It was bad. We were very limited, and we went on a great run. I think we won maybe 8 of our next 10. So I'm not overly concerned about how we start. I'm really more concerned about how we finish. Yeah. And I'm also just concerned about the process, like I said before. The process of getting better, and building, and being more focused on that as opposed to winning and losing. Every game matters as far as the legacy that a group's going to leave here. There's no question, but I don't concern myself a whole lot with it. I'm not looking at our schedule in November thinking, we got to win this one, we got to win that one. Honestly, that's the least important thing to me right now. The most important thing to me is we just got to keep getting better. And if we do that by the end of the year, I think this is a group that could do some special things.
Do you have any games circled on the calendar so far? I
don't circle any. To me, my coaches, my staff will tell you, I'm as concerned about the least talented opponent on the schedule as the most talented. Every one of them concerns me, and so that's just the way I approach it. Try to just be very steady. We definitely don't emphasize one team over another. I know our kids probably do, but I don't. I look at them all as very, very important, and that's kind of how I approach my work.
All right, so to that odd question now. You have a bachelor's degree in political science. How does that impact you as a coach?
Well, let me first of all tell you, I had 2 things I wanted to do for a living. I always wanted to coach, but then the other thing is I like the idea of becoming a lawyer and being a sports agent.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went that route, was just in case I wanted to do that. And then there was another small part of me that, maybe I'll teach government at the high school level and coach. So that's why I went that route. I am interested in politics too, and so I think government and how government works interests me. As far as how it impacts basketball, I can't say. I can tell you none of my players like government. I can tell you that right now. But it's something that interests me. And like I said, the law profession was something that was very interesting to me. It was something I just about went to law school. So I thought about it. It was something that was on my radar.
So do you see any similarities between basketball and politics at all?
Probably not. But there's politics in everything. There's politics in athletics. There's politics in athletic departments. There's politics in when you start talking about rankings and you're talking about just professionalism, jobs, and getting jobs, and just the coaching fraternity. Everything's political. Really. It really is. So, but as far as actually basketball, no. That's probably the beauty of sports, is when you step on the floor, there is no politics.
It's a good distraction.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Coach, last question here. You've had 7 straight 31 seasons, 4 conference titles, and way too many coaching honors to name. What does your team need to do to continue success and ultimately get back to the tournament?
Well, first of all, I do want to say all the stuff we've done, it's great, and it's awesome for recruiting. It's awesome for our players. It means a lot to the school, the program. It's something we're very proud of, so I don't want to minimize it. But you know, the 31 seasons, all the different awards and honors that our players and our coaches have had, it's not what we're focused on. Okay, and again, I sound like a broken record, but I really truly mean this. I really try to stay in the process, the day-to-day, the stuff we control. We don't control whether we win 30 games or not. We really don't. Okay, I mean, you got to catch some breaks, you got to make some shots, there's some things that are out of your control. You don't control whether you win a national title. I mean, you do, you win it, but there's a lot of luck involved, right? Okay, there just is.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Kansas, Bill Self's probably had 8 teams that were good enough to win a national title, and only one has caught the brakes and did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we don't get real fixated on that stuff. We really just try to handle the things we can control. And what we can control is how we approach our work and what we do every single day, whether it's weights, training room, film, the floor, study table, all the different parts of what you have to do to be a college basketball player. We want to approach those things and really excel in all those areas and really handle our business. And then all that stuff that you just mentioned, that just takes care of itself. I can tell you right now, 7 years, we won 30 plus. It's an amazing run, there's no question. But I can tell you right now, there's never been a time during the season when we've talked about, hey guys, we got to win or we're not going to win 30. You know, it's never been on the radar. It's just we get to the end of the year and usually it's Coach Skockle comes up to me and says, hey, guess what, Coach? We won 30 games again. You know, it's just not something that's on your mind. You just want to do the best you can, improve as rapidly as you can, and just be consistent. Consistency is my thing. I want to be consistent coach. I want my players to be consistent players. We just want to be very consistent because I think that's how you succeed in life, and that's what we kind of try to get our kids to buy into, the idea that if you can be that same person, that same consistent person every day throughout the year, you're going to be pretty successful. So that's kind of our secret. And just, you know, I guess to answer your question, how do we have that success? I think if everybody just does what we've always done, there's a pretty good chance, which is just buy into the day-to-day grind, and make that choice to buy into that, and everything else I think will work itself out.
All right, Coach, great interview, man. Thank you. Good
Appreciate
talking to you.
Yep, thank you.
That's all we have for you on today's Sports Report. You can catch all the action over at the JCCC Athletics YouTube page. I'm Jonah Snider. Thank you for watching.